In this video, we will create a simple circuit using the AND gate. The AND gates are commonly used for input-output systems, combining data and exporting a defined signal. This gate outputs a high signal only when both input signals are also high. They are often paired with other logic gates such as the NOT gate and OR gate to perform complex tasks, especially in the field of electronics engineering. Our objectives in this activity are: number 1, to familiarize ourselves with the breadboard and other basic electronic components, and number 2, to demonstrate and simulate the basic function of the AND gate and its applications. Before we begin, let's review some basic safety precautions when handling electronics. Number 1, use personal protective equipment when necessary. Examples include rubber gloves and safety goggles. Number 2, avoid wearing static-prone clothing and ground yourself properly to prevent harm or damage to components. Number 3, handle all components correctly and with care, especially the sharp pins of the electronic parts. Number 4, unplug the power supply when not in use. As for me, I am not wearing a PPE right now because we are only handling a 5-volt battery supply, which is not dangerous when handling with our bare hands. Now, let us prepare the following electronic components and materials before we start. We need one 5-volt battery, in our case, a Raspberry Pi hooked to a power bank. We also need one large breadboard, some male-to-male connecting wires, 8 5mm LEDs, 8 2 kilo-ohm 1/4 watt resistors. Alternatively, in our case, we use a 100 ohm 1/4 watt resistors. We also need one 74LS08 IC, 4 4-pin buttons, and an optional multimeter. Since I don't have a multimeter on hand, I'll just simulate my circuit. Let us begin. Step 1. While optional, I encourage you to prepare a circuit diagram to quickly and efficiently have the installation of components on the breadboard. Step 2. Prepare your breadboard and decide where to connect the positive and ground lines. Step 3. Place the 74LS08 IC and the 4-pin buttons correctly and carefully according to the circuit diagram. Handle the components with the sharp sides away from you to avoid injury. Step 4. Pair each of your LEDs with a 2 kilo-ohm 1/4 watt resistor and place them on the breadboard according to the circuit diagram. Step 5. Once all the essential electronic components are in place, use the male-to-male connecting wires to connect them, following the circuit diagram. A helpful tip is to color code the wires uniquely for each LED to easily troubleshoot any issues with misplaced components. Keep in mind that each button has a corresponding LED, which acts as the indicator of that switch being turned on. Step 6. Connect the positive and negative sides of the battery to the appropriate lines on the breadboard. And lastly, Step 7. Review all circuit components if you encounter any errors in the assembly. Now that the circuit is assembled, what do we observe? As shown in the circuit diagram, all the buttons from D0 to D3 have a corresponding indicator LED, which turns on when its associated button is pressed. When D2 is pressed, LED 6 also lights up, since D2 solely supplies the input signals for the AND gate C. The combination of D2 and D3 lights up LED 3, 4, 6, and turns LED 8 on due to the AND gate D. On the other hand, when pressing from D0 or D1 combined with D2 or D3, its corresponding indicator LEDs only light up because the two groups don't intersect on a single AND gate. Lastly, combining D0 and D1 lights up LED 5 due to the AND gate A, and LED 7 due to the same input signal provided to the AND gate B. In real-world applications, the AND logic gate is excellent in control systems and electronic devices. In addition, this logic gate is extensively used in integrated on-security system, robotics, and even networking. Especially combined with other logic gates, these electronic components become one of the fundamental building blocks of electronics engineering. This marks the end of the video. I hope you learned something about the AND logic gate, its function, and its applications. See you in the next video.